In our guest this morning, Professor of Middle East Studies at Florida Atlantic University, Dr. Robert Rabil. Professor, good to see you.
Good morning, Ms. Cake. Thank you for having me. Thank you.
Disturbing reports, certainly from Zach Anders and the back and forth from overnight. According to CENTCOM, there's been this additional wave of Iranian drones trying to attack U.S. forces there in Kuwait. Those were knocked down. We understand no American personnel or assets were harmed. But certainly this back and forth, it's complicating the ceasefire, does it not?
Of course, it's complicating the ceasefire. And more than that, Ms. Cake, you know, the Iranians, this is their strategy, and it's expected. They have done it before, and I expect them to do it again. But I don't think that the ceasefire is going to collapse completely. The president has been clear, and he said, listen, yes, there are certain things going on, but the negotiations are still on.
Sure. And the president is saying talks do continue, that perhaps we're getting some of our messages from the wrong individuals. That's been complicated as well. We'll talk about that in a minute. But Iran's leaders, about a week and a half ago, they did announce that they would be increasingly targeting U.S. forces and any Gulf region allies or anybody housing U.S. forces, and they're delivering.
Well, I would say yes, but they haven't been successful. For example, yesterday they tried to hit our U.S. Fifth Fleet in Bahrain, and they weren't successful. They were successful in hitting Kuwait International Airport. And I think myself, Ms. Cake, they would like to target vital institution, mainly in the Gulf. So mainly us, they would try to hit us, but their focus is going to be mainly the Gulf vital institution, like the electricity grid. You know, at one time they hit the nuclear plant in UAE, and now the international airport. So they would like to create this instability so as to put more pressure on United States.
Yeah, well, you look at these images out of Kuwait's international airport. It is very disturbing. You heard our Zach Anders reporting dozens have been injured, some very seriously, loss of limbs in some cases. So our allies in the region, they've been pressuring the administration to back down from considering military strikes. Dr. Rabil, does that begin to shift now as our allies start to see this serious damage to their own infrastructure and realizing that they are now very much in the crosshairs of Iran's missiles as well?
Ms. Cake, let me tell you this. Our allies, I would ask our allies if they had waited 3 years, had it not for President Trump confronting Iran, what would have seen, you know, after 3 years? As a matter of fact, really, I think they are wrong. I think they are worried, but still, you know, they are facing Iran. Iran is not going to let go on them. They are vulnerable targets. They cannot attack us as they can attack them. And this is their strategy. And I think our allies, I think, should be really, you know, cooperating, coordinating, and supporting the president, because he is the only president. He has been facing this threat. And I think this threat is going to be resolved one way or another.
So is it time, in your view, to re-engage militarily? Do the Iranians, the IRGC specifically, do they know any other language? Do they understand any other language?
Well, as a matter of fact, if you go back to the history of Iran, especially during Ayatollah Khomeini, yes, they understood the pressure, and they understand that when they cannot win, they'll try all kinds of options. But at the end of the day, you know, I believe that the president, by blockading the blockade, by putting all this pressure, Iran really is losing a lot of money. And as I mentioned to you one time, you know, earlier in your show, Ms. Cake, the real battle is after mainly the war is over. The real battle Iranian regime is when the war is over, how to handle and how to speak and coordinate with their own people. So I think myself, for the time being, the president is pursuing the right track. We have to wait and see. And I think the military option is still on the table, and the president is keen on it. But also, if you look at his messages, and I think really he has been brilliant. What the messages he's saying? He's saying, listen, you know, I am ready to meet with the supreme leader at a certain date. The negotiations are going well. So what is he telling? He's telling us, the American. He's telling our allies. He's telling the international community. Really, I am ready to make a deal. But if they don't make a deal, I have that military option, and that military option, it's going to wreak havoc on the Iranian regime. And don't blame me for that.
Yeah. Meanwhile, we were finally starting to see some international support. United Nations Secretary General is proposing this plan where several thousand UN peacekeeping forces would transform into this force that would actively help the Lebanese army patrol the border with Israel, trying to disarm Hezbollah. Does that work? A peacekeeping force that would engage somehow help the Lebanese army? We know that Hezbollah is deeply, woven into the politics and the army in that country.
I can tell you this. I have been in Israel, and I met a lot of officials, including the president of Israel recently, and I just came back. And I know Lebanon very well, as I served in the Red Cross there. The UNIFIL there, its job mainly, it was successful in one area only, is that giving advance notice to the Lebanese government and Hezbollah and Israel what's going on. But other than that, they were not able really to provide stability there. Why? Because Hezbollah is down there. And this is why Israel went in, as a matter of fact. It created what's called the yellow area. And it's making incursion, to make sure that Hezbollah will not be able to target the Israeli north. And still they are targeting by using drones. So I hope that today they are having the negotiation, the Israeli and the Lebanese and the Americans, of course. And I hope they can reach some kind of a partial agreement to end the war. Bearing in mind, and I can say this, I need the Lebanese government to be more forceful.
Sure.
And match what it says with action on the ground. And early on, and I told the Israeli, as I told the Lebanese government, the first things they should go and take, as a matter of fact, seize control and have their sovereignty over Greater Beirut. Hezbollah has no place there.
Hezbollah deeply entrenched, though, politically and through their military. It's a high bar. Dr. Robert Rabil, professor of Middle East Studies at Florida Atlantic University. Outstanding points as always, sir. Great to have a conversation with you.
It's a pleasure to be with you, Ms. Cake.
Good to see you.
God bless.
You as